the previous hearing, when we asked if this bill passes into law, where will the funds be sourced from? And then the resource person spoke of a fund in the facility enhancement program under the current budget 2011. I'm looking at the provision for that facility enhancement. I'd like to be clarified where in the items defined under the present General Appropriations Act did they say this is taken from? Because all I see are capital outlay for facility enhancement. I'm wondering, is the procurement of contraceptives now part of the capital outlay expenditure of the government?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Honorable members of this committee, good morning. On behalf of Secretary Ona, may I request if I allowed to read the letter of regrets?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Dear Honorable Abaya, this is in response to your invitation letter dated February 8, 2011, pertaining to the meeting on House Bill numbers 96, 101, 513, 1160, 1520, and 3387, entitled An Act Providing for a Comprehensive Policy on Responsible Parenthood, Reproductive Health, and Population and Development, and for other purposes. In line with this, I regret that it would not be possible for me to attend this meeting, since it has the same schedule of my Commission on Appointments meeting in the Senate. I will be sending my representative, yours truly, to be present at this hearing. Yours sincerely, Enrique Ona, Secretary of Health. With regards to the query on whether there is a line item for the procurement of contraceptives under the capital outlay, may I inform the Honorable Congressman that there is no line item intended for procurement of contraceptives under the capital outlay item.
So may I be clarified, Mr. Chairman, when she said that it is taken from the provisions on facility enhancement, what did she mean by that? In the previous hearing, you mentioned about facility enhancement.
Thank you, sir. With regards to the upgrading of the facilities, we have another office in the Department of Health, the National Center for Health Facilities and Development, headed by Director Abisamis. This is the office where the upgrading of facilities is really their focus of responsibility.
Correct. But I'm looking now at the item they got. It provides for personal services, MOE, and a POP for the capital outlay. When you mentioned this last hearing, did you mean that it's taken from the capital outlay? Because the items here are A, formulation of policies, standards, and plans for hospital and other health facilities. Do you take the contraceptive fund from that? I doubt it.
In the 2011 budget for the Family Health Office, including family planning, there was no provision for capital outlay for the year 2011. So it is not included in the line item under family health, including family planning. With regards to procurement of contraceptives, we have no specific line item since the budget was slashed in the amount of 200 million from the original amount of 931 million more.
Yeah, but the issue right now, Mr. Chairman, is if this bill is passed into law, it says here that it will be taken from the present funds, the present budget, correct? So we asked to be clarified. And then you mentioned that there's a portion to be taken from facility enhancement. So that's why I asked, Mr. Chairman, that a resource person that could explain the facility enhancement program of this government under the present be invited. Because as I said the last hearing, that the present resource person, with all due respect, she admitted herself that she is not qualified. to speak on behalf of the Department of Health with regard to the item on facility enhancement. So now I'm again asking the question because she was the one who brought it to the floor. And we're here to talk about appropriations.
Mr. Chairman. Yes, Honorable. Can I just make this clarification? The funding of about 7.2 billion for facility enhancement under the budget of the Department of Health will not be included. Okay? It's not included in this bill. I think the appropriation language on section 30 is very clear. It says the amounts appropriated to the current annual general appropriations act GA for family, health, and responsible parenting under the DOS and the PAPCO. So it has no reference whatsoever to the facility enhancement program with respect to birthing facilities and other functions of the DOS. That answer of Director Petivo was made in response to a question with respect to where will appropriations come from for birthing facilities. And the answer was, there's already an appropriation for that under the facility enhancement program. But definitely, that will not be subsumed under this bill because the appropriation language is limited to the current annual general appropriations for family health and responsible parenting, which does not include the capital outlays for facility enhancement.
Yes, thank you for the clarification, Mr. Chair. Let's go to the next item. As mentioned by the Honorable Minority Leader, the funds will be taken from the appropriations for family health and responsible parenting. Just out of curiosity, I'd like to know, why is the item on family health and responsible parenting under the item on disease prevention and control? Why are we talking about it's disease prevention? Is pregnancy now a disease to be prevented?
There is there's a big office under the Department of Health, which is the operational center for the whole department, and it is called National Center for Disease Prevention and Control. The implication is that all other conditions, health conditions that can affect an individual, are taken care of under different programs of the National Center for Disease Prevention and Control. We don't classify pregnancy as a disease. In fact, one of the offices, there is the so-called non-communicable disease section. This deals with lifestyle-related diseases or lifestyle-related conditions. And these conditions may not start as a disease, but related to the way people live. Meaning it may be related to an otherwise healthy individual who, because of a poor lifestyle, will now acquire diseases. So it's more on the aspect of prevention aspect. So it deals both with prevention, control, and management of the different health conditions. That is why it is included under the National Center for Disease Prevention. It's an encompassing office covering the different stages and the different clients under the Department of Health.
Okay, Mr. Chair, this brings us back to the point as clarified by the Minority Leader. When he said that the present if this bill is passed into law, will be the item on family health and responsible parenting will be the one to finance, in the meantime, the provisions of this bill if it is passed into law. Again, I bring to the floor the question on the mandatory language of certain provisions of the bill that the state shall provide for this and that. No? Section 5, Section 6, Section 7, Section 10, and all other sections, Section 12, Section 11, for the procurement of various things, for the construction in the mandatory language. And again, this brings us back to the penal provision of the bill, that if these mandatory provisions are not provided for, then it will be considered a violation of this act. How are we to understand, Mr. Chair, that the section on penalties, section 29, shall remain, or shall it be deleted accordingly in order so as not to unduly harass our fellow members in government? That of the possibility that if they do not comply with the mandatory language of the provisions of this bill, then they might be held liable under section 29 of this act, this proposed act.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Honorable Nagman.
with respect to subsequent requirements for the implementation of this bill once it becomes a law, section 30 is very clear. It will be under the General Appropriations Act to be approved by Congress in subsequent years. So it will be subject to the collective wisdom of the House as well as the Senate with respect to the appropriation measure. Now, with respect to the penalty clauses here, I think this will be subject to an extensive deliberation in the plenary. And unfortunately, this committee has no jurisdiction over the penal sanctions because we are just talking here of the appropriation language.
Likewise, I would like to inform the body. I recall the chairman of the Population Commission actually recommending to the body particular amendments for, I think, some words shall were converted into may as to make it a non-punitive action as regards to particular funding so as not to prejudice people in the health sector.
Which is why, Mr. Chair, during the last hearing, I proposed that the mandatory language of the several sections be softened because it is mandatory because of the word shall. And I proposed that the word shall be replaced with may. Because anyway, we did that, and that was approved under section 15, that with regard to the behalf of the congressman, that instead of it, the word shall, instead of it getting the word shall, the shall be amended into may. And therefore, following the same line of thinking, I propose that several sections which are mandatory also be amended and be replaced with may.
We object to that omnibus amendment of making the words shall converting it into may. With respect to section 15, that was voluntarily offered by the authors of the bill, with the concurrence of the chairman of the Committee on Population and Family Relations. But with respect to the other portions of the bill, then the chairman of the Committee on Population and Family Relations, as well as the co-authors, have that voluntarily moved for their amendment. So much so that any further amendment which is not related to the appropriation language in section 30 should wait until this bill goes to the plenary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Because the Honorable Minority Leader brought it up anyway, so let's go to the appropriations. This puts us congressmen into a very difficult predicament because if we maintain mandatory wordings of the several provisions, then I'm wondering now, should we congressmen also become liable under section 29 of this act because we will not be able to provide the necessary appropriations as mandated under this bill. Section 30 says that such additional funds, sums necessary to implement this act, will be should be provided by Congress in the next GAA. In the subsequent GAA, it says shall be included in the subsequent GAA. Such additional sums necessary to implement this act, etc., shall be included in the subsequent GAA. Again, providing for a mandatory provision. And with the threat of penalty, in section 29, I'm wondering now, do we have enough funds to support all the sections that mandates the state to provide the necessary facilities, purchase of contraceptives, purchase of all of these things as worded presently in this act? That is the threat now upon the members of the, not only the Committee on Appropriations, but the entire membership of Congress. Again, emphasizing that shall be included in the GAA. Every budget hearing, we discuss extensively about how limited our resources are. In the DOH itself, the DOH budget itself, there was extensive debate on whether or not to fund the capital outlay of provincial and state and government hospitals. The Committee on Appropriations agreed that we should not fund it because of lack of funds, and we had to put it to the CCT, to the 4-piece program, and other priority projects of this administration. And now we have a bill that mandates us to provide for the funds for all of these sections, with the threat of being penalized. 1 year, 1 month to 6 months imprisonment, or a fine of 10,000 to 50,000 pesos, or both, if we violate this act. Maybe it's not a threat now, 2011, but 2012. 2012, in August, by August, when we come back for the break, this is passed into law. As was said by several members of this Congress, they hope to pass this by this year. We will be constrained to finance all of this. And what will happen now to the different budgets of the different agencies? Shall they all suffer because we are under threat of being penalized?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Honorable Lagman, then Honorable Zubiri and Honorable Magsaysay.
This usual language, appropriation language, which is generic, has been the practice of this committee since time immemorial. There is nothing new about this phraseology. As a matter of fact, we just favorably acted upon on the bill of the practice of interior design in the Philippines. And what is the appropriation language? It's similar to this. It says, the funding which shall be included in the annual general appropriations act. It says shall be included. And this was unanimously passed by this committee, and not even the distinguished gentleman from Davao has objected to such appropriation language. I think, Mr. Chairman, we have sufficiently discussed this bill with respect to its appropriation language, and we should not meander into other provisions which are not germane to the jurisdiction of this committee. I move, Mr. Chairman, that substitute bill to House Bill numbers 96, 101, 513, 1160, and 3387 be referred back to the Mother Committee, the Committee on Population and Family Relations, with a favorable comment endorsing the appropriation language contained in Section 30, as amended, with the deletion of the phrase, and I quote, and other concerned agencies, as found on page 20, line 6, with the following further amendments voluntarily offered by the authors of the bills, with the concurrence of the chairman of the Committee on Population and Family Relations, the Honorable Rogelio Espina. To it. 1. On page 8, section 5, on midwives for skilled attendance, line 25, between the words employ and insert the following. Go through service contracting and for regular employment, subject to the provisions of the local government code. Unquote. 2. On page 11, section 15, on mobile health service, line 11, change the word shall to may, as well as on line 16, change the word shall to may. And finally, number 3, on page 13, section 19, on capability building of barangay health workers, from lines 15 to 20, delete modify provisions of the second and third sentences of the summary section 19. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
I second.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, with the indulgence of the Honorable Lagman, just as my commitment to Honorable Zubiri and Honorable Kaisai, if you could allow them to speak, not unless Honorable Zubiri would want to waive or Honorable Kaisai would want to waive.
1 minute, just clearly.
Please proceed.
Whether we had the money or not, it never stopped Congress from filing a bill to turn into law something that was in the national interest. For example, the modernization program for the armed forces of the Philippines. We had only spent about 10 to 15%, and we're already supposed to be finished with the program. We have to start all over again. So I second the motion of the good congressman.
May I make a manifestation? Because my name was mentioned by this minority.
Please proceed, Honorable Nograles.
I did not object to the bill of the Honorable Susan Yang because it had no penal provision. I did not, the AFP modernization fund had no penal provision. I mean to say, if we don't fund it according to the law, we are not threatened with being imprisoned or post a fine. This has a penal provision. And nothing will stop anyone, any private citizen, from filing a case. Whether or not the court or the prosecution dismisses it or not, it's irrelevant. The fact that this bill demands certain necessary purchases and demands that we fund this already imposes a threat upon us. Kasi depende yan sa pag-interpret ng mga tao. Eh kung meron dyan biglang mag-file ng case because we did not fund this, what's that to stop them? Then we all have to face the prosecution. That is why I am proposing that we soften the mandatory provisions into main, or otherwise just delete the penal provision. Otherwise we're putting a gun to our head and killing ourselves. Because we are passing a law that will ultimately make us liable, because I don't think we have the funds to finance this. That's my point.
Yes,
Yes, Honorable President.
yes, I think the gentleman from the House has made his manifestation, and I would strongly suggest that we move to the motion that was proposed by the Honorable Minority Leader.
I object, Mr. Chair.
But just a comment on the statement of Honorable Nograles. Probably at the appropriate time, or I would confer with the chairman of the commission. Probably we put an exemption on the penalty provision that any violation or commission violation of this act or commission prohibited act, probably with the exemption on the provision of appropriations, so as to save all our necks, would be liable for the penal position. Otherwise, I'd be comfortable with that.
It would be self-serving in the eyes also of the public, Mr. Chair.
But then we go back. There is a motion to have this bill approved. It has been seconded. There is an objection. Yes, Honorable Secretary.
May I say something in connection with my objections? I still think, after all has been said and done, that government has no right to push contraceptives or use taxpayers' money in pushing contraceptives, or in encouraging people to indulge in contraceptive sex. We don't need this, and we don't need enriching the manufacturers of contraceptives. It will only weaken our nation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Secretary. Yes, Honorable Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The comment of the Honorable Congressman, the government has no right or no responsibility of providing funds for this. All throughout the years, we have been recipients from the World Health Organization of family planning materials. And we have been using it in our family planning programs of the Department of Health because it was given to us for free. And now that they have wielded their support for family planning in the Philippines, Is it wrong for government to spend for family planning just because we have to spend for it? I don't believe so. And with regards to appropriations, you know, everybody needs money. Everybody needs funds for this and that project. It depends on the prioritization of where to put the money. If you'd rather put it in the AFP, and I believe you have that right to do so, but government has also the right to protect the right of the people to enjoy a responsible parenthood. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Since there's a motion has been seconded and there's an objection, we move to will then proceed by dividing the House. As a reminder, only those members or duly designated by ex-officio officials are allowed to vote, so as not to put mistake. So we'll just go to a show of hands. For those who are in favor of the motion of approving this bill, kindly raise your hand. Kindly, for those who are against this bill, kindly raise your hand. Kindly refrain from tapping, please. Okay, thank you. So the numbers show that 20 have voted in favor and 3 have voted against it. So this House Bill number, substitute bill, House Bill number 96, 101, 513, 1160, 1520, and 3387 is hereby subject to the amendments forwarded by the Honorable Lagman, likewise to the amendment to be proposed by the Chairman if necessary. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Nograles. The motion is adjourned.
It never ends. It never ends.
Hey man.
Good news.
Yes, I know.